my name is Marian Gra. A huge hello and a huge thank you to anyone who is just clicking on this video, whether you are a new subscriber or an old subscriber, or if you're just a visitor. Thank you very much. Your viewership is always greatly appreciated. And here on this channel, we talk about books, movies, and more. And today, I'll be doing a video that I haven't done in a long while, and that is a Criterion haul. In the past, I was a lot more active when it comes to participating in the 50% off Criterion sale that goes on in Barnes & Noble. I also watched my Criterions a lot more frequently in the past. It's just that when it comes to film viewing, it's very much the same thing when it comes to reading for me. I'm a mood viewer as much as I'm a mood reader. I just haven't been in the mood. It also didn't help that a year ago, my local Barnes & Noble, which is located in my local mall, shut down. And it's only been like a year later, they've recently reopened. So I've been able to actually participate in a 50% off, Barnes & Noble sale. So I have here 7 titles. 4 of them I got from this recent sale in Barnes & Noble, and 3 of them I accumulated over the months, and I just didn't show you guys. So this will be a collective Criterion haul. So I will be starting off with the Criterions that I didn't get from this recent sale. And the first one is spine number 317 from 1951, and that is The Tales of Hoffmann. This was done by Powell and Pressburger, the same duo behind The Red Shoes, which is one of my favorite films that I discovered through the Criterion collection. And The Tales of Hoffmann was an opera. This is adapted from an opera, which is based off of E.T.A. Hoffmann's short stories. This is one that I would definitely like to rewatch. The film is split into 3 major sequences. In each one, Hoffmann is relating a tale where he is describing this woman he becomes sort of enchanted by, entranced with, and each sequence is named after that woman. So Olympia, Giulietta, Antonia. Olympia was my favorite. Then Giulietta was very interesting, and I liked that one. But then with Antonia, I was kind of losing that interest. I was kind of, my mind was wandering off a bit. So I would like to revisit and see if I feel the same way. But I definitely do think that the Antonia segment or sequence was the weakest out of the 3. Another major thing about The Tales of Hoffmann is that it's stunning. It's very beautiful. The sets, the costumes, the design is just fantastic. No complaints there. Really creative, kind of out there, especially the Olympia sequence, which is part of the reason why I liked it so much. When it comes to Powell and Pressburger, be rest assured, you're going to be in for a treat for the eyes. I mean, it's just pure spectacle. So yeah, looking forward to my rewatch of this. The next film that I have here is spine number 541, and this is a new favorite of mine, and that is The Night of the Hunter from 1955. This was directed by Charles Laughton, starring Robert Mitchum. It is a great shame that Charles Laughton never went on to direct another film after The Night of the Hunter. This was his first and last film. Apparently when it came out, critics panned it, and Laughton took this to heart so much that he never made another film. The Night of the Hunter is adapted from a book of the same name by Dave Grubb. And here we are following a serial killer, basically, who is posing as a preacher, and he targets widows for their money. Now, Robert Mitchum's character, his former cellmate, he finds out, had stolen, I believe, like 10 grand, like a lot of money, and he hid it away. And his children are the only ones who know where it is. So once he gets out of jail, he tracks down this family, sort of starts to win over the widow and just ingratiate himself into the family as the new father figure. All the while, he is trying to get these kids to tell him where the money is. So you already have a harrowing premise, but then it's also accentuated by Laughton's direction and then Mitchum's performance. What I love about Night of the Hunter is that it's black and white, and Laughton really makes use of the shadows in this film. And there are sequences here, like segments that, I'm sure if you've watched a review or you listen to someone, talk about this movie, they're going to mention that there are times where the film enters this sort of surreal realm. There's this one scene that really stuck with me where you have the brother character talking with the sister and they're about to go to bed. Then all of a sudden they hear singing outside. He walks to the window and there he sees the shadow of a man, like leaning on their fence, and he's looking straight at their house. And you can't see his face or anything. And then behind him, there's obviously going to be a street, but all that's there is just pure blackness, pure darkness. And the image just looks like something out of a nightmare. Another thing that I really appreciate is that you can tell that Lawton was inspired by German Expressionism. There's another scene where once I watched it, I immediately thought that looks like the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And once again, it's just the use of the shadows and then the angles of the room. Great stuff. Great stuff. There is a lot of imagery in this film that is haunting but beautiful. And then, of course, you have Robert Mitchum's performance as this killer preacher. And he does a great job. He's not like a Michael Myers or, let's say, an Anton Chigurh, where you could argue like they're more of embodiments of the abstract, of like evil, death, whatever, what have you. Robert Mitchum's character, while intimidating, very intimidating, he's still a man. He can still be thwarted. He can still make mistakes. So he does feel real. He feels like a real intimidating threat, especially knowing that his victims are these two kids. It was also through this film that I discovered that Robert Mitchum has a really good singing voice. So the preacher character throughout the film sings this rendition of Leanin' on the Everlasting Arms, which is a praise and worship song. It's a song that is meant to convey comfort, that you are resting, you're leaning on the everlasting arms of Jesus Christ. However, this character uses it, twists it, and makes it this dark calling card that kind of just haunts the children, follows them wherever they go. And it's so chilling, but yet at the same time, beautiful. So yeah, The Night of the Hunter, I could probably do an entire video talking about this film, but yeah, this is a new favorite of mine, and I'm definitely glad I picked it up. As for the last film that I did not get at the recent 50% off sale, we have spine number 1201, and that is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. So obviously, this is del Toro's adaptation of the very famous Pinocchio tale. This came out in 2022, and yeah, I picked this one up because it's del Toro, and it's stop motion animation. I have a huge respect for stop motion animation, whether, it's like Tim Burton, Laika, whatever. I just really, really appreciate those who dedicate themselves to this craft, because if you watched any behind the scenes when it comes to stop motion, you understand how tedious and how much, time is expended into creating these type of films. So moving on to the Criterions that I picked up at the recent Barnes & Noble 50% off sale, we have spine number 898. This is Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me. So this came out in 1993, and this is the intended prequel to the show Twin Peaks, which I still have not watched yet. I don't want to catch it on streaming. I want to buy like the DVD set so I can watch it on my own terms, on my own time. So yeah, waiting to get that, and then I'll binge it whenever I can. And then once that's done, I'll get on to Fire Walk With Me, because I was told by fans of Twin Peaks, people I know who've watched the show in this film, that you should watch this, even though it's a prequel, you should watch this after the show, because there are events in this film that do spoil events in Twin Peaks. I don't know too much about the show, and that's on purpose, because when it comes to David Lynch, I kind of want to be surprised. But from the few or the little that I know, the series is kicked off when the body of this high schooler, Laura Palmer, I believe, is discovered. And in Fire Walk With Me, I believe this follows Laura Palmer, before she died, and kind of shows like what happened to her, what led to the events that would kind of transpire in the show. So yeah, I have also heard that when this came out, it was not well received, and I believe it was due to the fact that the movie had a different tone, a different vibe from the TV show. Apparently, this does lean into horror, which is a selling point for me, and because of that, I might actually love this film, but who knows. On that same trip I got Fire Walk With Me, I did pick up spine number 1191, and that is Orson Welles' The Trial. So this came out in 1962, and this is obviously an adaptation of Franz Kafka's unfinished novel of the same name, which I read years ago. It's been quite a while, and perhaps I should reread it again. So here we're following a man named Joseph K., who has been arrested for a crime he doesn't know he committed. In fact, they won't even tell him what crime he is guilty of. And from then on, he's kind of thrust into this sort of backrooms bureaucratic hellscape. At the time of making this film, apparently Welles was exiled from Hollywood, and so the trial ended up becoming a cinematic statement against the Hollywood studio system, but then also, it says here, totalitarian oppression in general. And it says on the back that this film has dizzying camera angles, expressionistic lighting, and increasingly surreal locations, and all of those three sound right up my alley. This one does star Anthony Perkins as the main character, whom you may know of as Norman Bates from Psycho. So yeah, looking forward to this one. I haven't watched any Welles, which may be surprising to some people. Yes, I have never seen Citizen Kane before. I got plenty of time. I'll eventually get to it. But the trial does sound like a story that is more up my alley. So after that first trip to Barnes & Noble, I made a second one. And then while I was browsing through the Criterion stacks, I found the two titles that I was initially looking for. So the first one was spine number 1175, and that is David Lynch's Inland Empire. So obviously I know about this because it's David Lynch. However, I know about Inland Empire specifically because of this clip on YouTube where David Lynch is promoting Laura Dern's performance in this film. He's sitting on this like lawn chair in LA. Like he's at a corner of a street, I believe, and he has this placard of Laura Dern, and he also has a cow. So yeah, that's what he did to promote this film and Laura Dern's performance. Please go check out that video. You can just go on YouTube and click David Lynch cow. I'm sure you're gonna find it. So yeah, this is Inland Empire, and I really don't know what this one is about. I mean, the title here, like the subtitle, is A Woman in Trouble, and yeah, I think that's all I know about it. I believe this is the third film in his sort of unofficial Hollywood trilogy. I think it's Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, and I believe Inland Empire is the third one. So yeah, it's just, I have no idea what it's about. Even the back to this, it's very vague. All I know is that Laura Dern is playing this actor who is kind of on the edge, and she kind of spirals into this surreal, nightmarish hellscape or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, it is 180 minutes, so it's 3 hours of pure Lynch surrealism. This one, I believe, might be his most, not esoteric, that's not the word I want to use, but his most impenetrable. I think I'll say that. So yeah, very excited to see what I think about Inland Empire. I got a feeling I'm gonna love it, because Lynch is a favorite director, and it's a shame that he's no longer with us. Now, moving on to the final film of this Criterion Haul, we have spine number 1185, and that is The Others, starring Nicole Kidman. This came out in 2001. I remember growing up seeing the poster a lot, and honestly, I might have seen this film when I was a kid. I don't remember any of it except for the fact I know of the twist. That's the one thing. If I saw it, the only thing that I retained was the twist ending, but who knows? I might have just been spoiled and never saw the film. So yeah, looking forward to it because I hear that it is quite gothic. So this takes place during World War II, and we're following this mother and her two children living in this estate in sort of like uneasy seclusion. However, this seclusion is broken by the arrival of these new servants. So like I said, it's gothic, and it's said to kind of explore themes of guilt, trauma, and repression. So it should be very interesting. We'll see if I like this one. So these are all the titles from this haul. Please let me know down in the comments if you are participating in the 50% off sale. And please let me know, what did you get? If you got anything else, have you seen any of the films that I hauled today? And if so, what do you think of them? And as always, if you have any recommendations, please feel free to leave them down in the comments. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!